Okay, so you are probably watching this because you got a new puppy. Either you got a new puppy from me or you got a new puppy from somebody and you need some advice. I have been training dogs for about 20 years. I've literally raised in my home probably close to, I'm gonna say close to like 100 puppies over the course of my career from, 8 weeks old to a year old. And I've trained somewhere in the neighborhood of, thousands of dogs at this point. So most of those dogs I trained between the ages of 8 weeks old and the end of their, maybe like 18 months old, something like that. I've known these dogs throughout their entire lives, and I've seen a lot of dogs all the way through to their last days. The things that I've learned about raising puppies in your home. When you bring them home, you got to have a couple of things. If you need exhaustive information on potty training or different things about diet, exercise, whatever, that stuff, that's going to be different videos. All right. This is going to be your basic list of things that you need when you're bringing home your new puppy. All right. So the first thing is we crate train our dogs, so you're going to need a crate. All right. I would just go with a basic wire crate that has a divider. If you really want to go all out, you can get plastic crates, but you're going to need to get very small plastic crates and then going up and up and up, depending on the size of your dog. Depends what kind of dog you have, but say you have a lab, you're going to need like a bunch of different sizes of crates. Most people don't need to get 8 crates, so you may as well just get one with dividers in it. As soon as your dog is potty trained and is crate trained, then you can go to a big crate. Doesn't matter. You can get it as big as you want. So that's the first thing. Get a good crate. Second thing is what we call an exerpen. Exerpen is probably just a term that that the company that makes them has come up with. I don't particularly use it for exercise. The idea is it's made out of the same material that crates are made out of. In fact, the company that I basically use all the time is called Midwest Crates, and they make crates and they also make these X pens. But if you search Exerpen, you can get them on Amazon like next day. They come in a variety of heights from 24 inches up to like 48 inches. They might even go higher than that. And they're 8-sided panels, 24-inch panels each, and you make basically a little cage for your dog. Now, it's bigger than a crate, and you can put it wherever you want. So for me, I put it in my living space so that I can be right next to the dog. I can see where he is. When I'm going in and out of the room, I know the dog is right there. When I can't be on top of him 100%. So if I can't be like literally right on top of my dog, then while they're in the potty training, crate training, house training stage, and I'm trying to really create good behaviors and habits, they're going to go in the pen pretty frequently, right, throughout the day. If I need to run to the bathroom, puppy goes back in the pen. So that's the next thing you're going to need. So a crate and an exerpen. With that, you are going to have to probably, depending on how your house is set up, you're going to probably get some gates also. So when your dog does get some free time, when your puppy gets some free time, you're going to want to make sure they can't get into areas that are going to get them in trouble. Maybe that's the pantry that doesn't have a door on it. Maybe it's downstairs in the basement or something like that, or off of a landing where they could hurt themselves, or where they could get into trouble if they they get into that room, or a room that has like wall-to-wall carpet or something. You obviously wouldn't want the dog to go in that room to go potty in that area. So you're gonna need some gates depending on how your house is set up. I've been in like any floor plan that you can imagine, and I've seen gates used in all sorts of different manners that are really successful and helpful. If you gate off a mudroom or something like that, that does not exactly suffice. It's not a one-to-one trade for an exerpen, because the dog can still access nooks, crannies, bite at the wall. It can bite on your molding or on cabinetry or things like that. So for me, the pen is not a one-to-one trade with like just gating off an area. The next thing you're going to need is you will have accidents in your house. I use Nature's Miracle. It's a brand that has been around for a while. It's an enzymatic cleaner. So I'm not exactly sure how the biology of that works, but in some way it has enzymes that break down the smell of urine to make it a lot less likely that the dog smells urine in that area and then goes and pees there again. So they don't recognize that area as like a place that you potty. So I suggest always having some of that and rolls of paper towels, and that stuff should be, in multiple places throughout your house, anywhere where the puppy's gonna be, for sure. Okay, after that we get into toys, okay, and like items that you're gonna need around the house. People buy tons and tons of stuff. You really don't need that much stuff, okay? You need 2 different types of toys though. You need one type of toy that is an interactive toy. Okay, so that's something that you're going to play with your dog, and that can be some kind of tug or rag. It could be a plush toy. It could be something that you're going to say, hey, this is our interactive toy. You only get it when we're interacting with each other, and you're never going to get it on your own. The other category of toys is going to be chew toys. So these are items that the dog is allowed to have and can have by himself in their crate. They can have it in their pen. They can have it just when they're free in the house. And those two types of toys are going to be, they're very different. Okay, so I never use textile type toys as chew toys. That's not a thing that I'm going to allow my dog to get in the habit of, which is chewing on textile type items. So in a professional environment, we have a ton of dogs in our facility and things like that. You cannot allow dogs to you can't allow young dogs to have textile type items unobserved, because eventually they are going to tear them up. And if they tear them up, you never know, unless you were watching them or you have video, you never know if they didn't ingest some of it. And if they ingested some of it, we pretty much have to, in a professional capacity, we pretty much have to take them to the vet. So then you're out like a whole bunch of time, probably a bunch of money, exploratory bowel surgery, who knows, for, you know, a chewed up towel or chewed up something like that. So you got to be really careful with those items. And so the things that I end up leaving the dog with are always going to be either completely indestructible, like a Kong or something like that, that is highly unlikely that a young puppy is going to break pieces off of it, or something that's edible. So that could be some kind of marrow bone or a hoof toy, or depending on what kind of things you're comfortable with having around your house. It could be different items that you're using as enrichment, things like that, that are really hard to chew up and like break unless they're edible. So that's, there's a million different things out there, and I probably could make another video about like what are appropriate chew items or whatever. Hooves, marrow bones, things that are a little bit softer, like ears, things like that. I don't mind a big rolled, like some kind of like rawhide or something like that, but I never let them actually eat it or ingest it. So if they're really, really young baby puppies and they just want to kind of gnaw on something, I don't mind that. But as soon as they start breaking little pieces off, I throw it away. I'm done with that. So in my house, I don't use that very much. The next thing is going to be how you walk your dog or how you move your dog around. The puppies are making some noise right now. So the next thing is going to be how you move your dog around when you're not carrying them, when they're not walking on the ground. Okay, that's going to be a leash collar situation. So when they're this young, 8 weeks old, 8 to 16 weeks old, something like that, I do not want them pulling on their neck. They barely have formed all the cartilage and bone structure and stuff like that, and they're not strong. They don't have all the muscle associated to help them solidify that, and they don't know how to not pull on the leash. So they're just going to yank on the leash and damage their esophagus, hurt their neck, stuff like that. So I prefer to use a harness at that age. I just get some dinky harness that goes around their chest and body, and until you teach them how to walk properly on a leash, just let them pull you around. Doesn't really matter. We're going to teach them the difference between pulling on a harness and pulling on a collar really quickly when the time comes. You also are going to need food, right? So depending on what you've decided that you're going to feed your dog, and depending on what your breeder has been feeding your dog, that's what you're going to want to have at the house. My dogs at my house all eat a raw diet. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can go about putting raw diets on your puppies or continuing a raw diet once they come home. I use a local company called Canine Craving, and they produce a pre-made, ground up meat, chicken, vegetable, and bone matter formula that's perfect for all life stages. And so that is what my puppies eat right away. And so my puppies are going to eat that until they're 10 weeks old when they go home. And hopefully the owners of my puppies will continue to feed their dogs that as they go home. And since they can get it from me and they all live right here, there's not a lot of reason for them not to do that. Now, if you're getting your puppy from a different breeder, you're getting your puppy from out of state, it's important that you find out what kind of food they're on. And I would say, ideally, you have a slow introduction to your type of food. Again, I feed raw at my house, and all the dogs that we have here are on raw. So I would suggest that. That's my favorite thing. Of course, everybody has their reasons for not doing it. If you would like to start with raw, you can get them off of their kibble and onto raw really quickly, probably within the first couple of days as soon as they come home. And I think that that's probably going to be your best bet. So if you're bringing home a new puppy from me, make sure you have all that stuff. That being said, this is just a quick and dirty video based on these puppies that I have going home soon and wanting to give the family some information and let them know what they should be getting before the dogs come home. So if this was helpful to you, I hope that you share this video with somebody else, that you like it, and make sure you subscribe. Thanks, guys. Peace.